Welcome, lovely ladies and strapping gentlemen. I am the MMOLITA, aficionado of all things girly and gamey, and your gracious host. Among my duties of looking perfectly adorable, I am also an avid player of MMORPGs, the video game versions of real life, only with much less effort and much less showering. And in my many gaming exploits, I have come across several different types of games. The beautiful, the expertly written, the well-crafted, the funny, the emotional, and the big steaming shit piles. And I'm here to share all of that with you! For my inaugural episode, I have a special treat, a beautiful gem reminiscent of my happy childhood.
Like a lot of kids, I watched Digimon growing up. It was fun and charming, and all the other things Jay-Z Otaku says about it. From the late 90s to the early 2000s, Digimon was insanely popular. So much so that the seasons of the show continue to be made to this day. And like most shows made to sell toys, it also has several tie-in video games, including the one I'm going to tell you about right now, the Digimon MMO, Digimon Masters, designed and developed by Digitalic in South Korea in 2009, and released in English by Jormax Entertainment in 2009.
This game is a little slice of something special. Not the good kind of special, the kind garnished with a few turds.
First off, this game is based on the 5th season of Digimon, Data Squad, a show I never watched and don't know very much about. But one thing I do know a lot about is MMOs, and this one just isn't that good. For starters, you can't design a character. There are only the 4 kids from the show to use as avatars, with options to purchase some of the kids from Season 1 in the item mall, as well as renting a few outfits to change the look a bit. Now, this doesn't seem like much, but part of the fun of an MMO is coming up with your own unique design of character, one suited to what you plan to do as a player, or made ultra sexy and perfect so everyone thinks you look better in real life. But I suppose I can let that slide. What I can't let slide is the next option, to pick your Digimon. Yes, you have to pick from one of the 4 main characters' Digimon as well.
What?
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't part of the Digimon mythos is that every Digimon is supposed to be perfectly suited to the person who it partners with? Taking that element out of the game, especially for an MMO, seems to remove some of the charm of being bonded for life to a creature specifically designed for you. And it's not like this would have been hard to implement. Lots of games have things like personality tests or choice systems to help tailor a game for a specific player. Putting one in this game would have been easy, and would have given the player a chance to get a Digimon that would have been much more fun to train and play with than the one you have to pick from a lineup. Again, I shouldn't complain so much. After all, there's an option to hatch additional Digimon as mercenaries.
But... let's talk about that in a little bit, okay?
You begin the game in real-world Japan, as Digimon are spilling in all over town. You fight the little ones, level up, get stronger, and then go fight the big ones. Pretty standard for an MMO, although in a fun twist, both the player and the Digimon level up separately. Reminds me of my days in the wild trenches as a hunter. The music is pretty standard, nothing too annoying, and it does grow on you after a while. Until I actually listened to it, I thought this main menu music was an orchestrated version of one of the season's theme songs, but it's actually an original composition, and it's pretty catchy, albeit really fucking loud! The environments are nice, with multiple worlds to explore, just like the show the game was based on. Sadly, the only way to explore these worlds is to click them to death. Seriously, there are no movement keys in this game. No arrows, no WASD keys, all the movement is the mouse, and it's really bothersome, especially if you happen to be out in a field area trying to avoid attacking any monsters. And while you have no movement keys, every single menu option has one. While you explore, you'll be asked to pick up all kinds of dropped items by various Digimon you've been asked to eliminate. It's harder than it sounds, as your backpack contains a whopping total of about 21 slots, half of which are taken up simply by starting a new player. The storage box manned by this Pawn Chessmon W here isn't much bigger at about 30 slots. Of course, you can purchase more in the item mall, but that's going to cost you some real-world money. If the red flags are starting to show, you have a good eye, because here's where it really starts to fall apart. The most fun in this game comes from the idea of hatching your own Digimon mercenary so you can have a monster you feel more connected to. Or, doesn't look like a floating weed. But as you recall from my earlier bit, it's just not as simple or as fun as you'd hoped for. For starters, to hatch a Digimon, you need to first acquire some data. What's data? Little chips you can pump into a Digi-Egg to make it hatch. Each egg has a type of data that is required, and a certain number of chips required to make it reach the phase required to hatch. Data can be inserted up to 5 times for bigger and stronger Digimon. For instance, if an egg needs 10 data, that means you need 10 data chips to get to the next phase, meaning you need a grand total of 30 to hatch, 50 if you plan to go all the way up, and assuming the egg doesn't break. Oh, did I not mention that? Yes, the egg has a chance of breaking during the hatching process. Oh, and those eggs and data, you have to beat them out of the Digimon you find out in the field. The monsters drop eggs of various different varieties, ranging from hatchable to scannable to completely useless. All eggs can be brought to Ms. Miki here or Pawn Chessmon to be scanned for data and other items of use. You'll get an awful lot of those other items in your various scanning, so be prepared to farm for quite a bit for the Digimon you'll want. So, after slaughtering an entire army of innocent creatures, searching their remains for what you need, finally collecting all the data required, and finding that rare and elusive hatchable egg, all your efforts can still be a complete waste because the egg decided to bust on you at the wrong time. Or, you know, you can purchase all these items in the in-game item mall for real money along with some of the hatch backup to protect yourself.
Guess what I did?
Yep. After I found my Renamon egg in the wild and spent a solid 2 days farming for beast data, I wasn't taking any chances. And even with my egg backed up, it still took me 4 fucking tries to get it to work. While I understand the idea behind the hatch backup as to how it affects the game, it seems more than a little excessive to make a player farm for hours to get the data they need and still have them fail somehow. Some of the people I played with couldn't even get that far, spending entire periods just looking for a Digimon egg they really wanted. After all that, hatch backup seems like overkill. Oh well, to the game's credit, once I actually did get to play with a Digimon I really liked, it very quickly got a whole lot better. It doesn't fix everything, but it does give it that personal touch that was sorely missing in the creation stage. And there are some fun ideas here. Questing is easy, and easy to ignore if you prefer to do your own thing. One thing I did have a lot of fun with is this little mechanic called Card Digimon. Every so often in my farming, a special card would drop. These cards have summoning power, calling high-powered Digimon for fights for rare prizes. Whenever I was fighting these, I was having a blast. And quests are pretty fun too, albeit kind of grindy, but for someone who likes MMOs as much as I do, that's not really a problem. By the way, I've never watched the show, but I'm willing to bet that this guy asking me to kill all Digimon and then laughs about it later is the show's bad guy. He's in just about every map, by the way, so good luck doing any quests he gives you, as you'll have to figure out which one is going to accept all those skins you found. The biggest problem I seem to have with this game is how much I want to like it. I loved Digimon, and to see this game come so close to being so good, it's like a kick in the teeth. I can stand the clicky controls of the small store boxes, but telling me the only way to guarantee I get the Digimon I want more than any is to pay for it, that seems more than a little insulting, especially since I only wanted to play because I used to love Digimon. I didn't hate my experience playing this game, but I found so much nagging at me by the end, I just had to take off my headset and get away from the computer.
While I can't say this game is the worst, it certainly fell short of my brightly colored ideals. With no real mechanic except kill Digimon to get more Digimon until all the Digimon are Digimoned, there's not really much going on here. If you're like me and you have the nostalgia factor working for you, you might enjoy yourself for a while. I certainly did. But once the goggles come off, there's not much left to show. Sorry. That was fun! So, what'd you think of my very first episode? Good? Really good? Terrible? I'm gonna bury you, stupid pink lady? Tell me what you thought in the comments and suggest some ideas if you have any. And if you've got an idea for my next game, tell me that too. In the meantime, stay lovely, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye now.